So let's call to order then and do a roll call.
Okay, Leslie's out sick. So, Cynthia Hoyle,
Here.
Annie Adams,
Here.
Kara Dudek,
Here.
Audrey Ishii,
Here.
Susan Jones,
Here.
Jeff Marino,
Here.
Craig Schunkweiler here, Lily Wilcock,
Here.
and we have a quorum.
Ta-da! Thank you. And then we need approval of the agenda. I guess the only other thing, I wanted to just bring something up under new business, not take any action, but I wanted to chat about pedestrian safety on University and make a request to staff,
Did you start your recorder?
I did.
Good.
but
Thank
that's
you.
it.
Just check.
Are we ready to approve the agenda? With that item added, okay. I need a motion.
I motion to approve the agenda.
Second,
I second it.
all in favor?
All right.
Stands approved. Public input. Charlie, do you have anything to say?
Only if you need to know about bike month. So,
Under announcements?
yeah, Kevin, do you have, I don't know.
We'll do it under announcements.
I don't have a
I
whole
don't have
lot.
everything organized yet.
Yeah. All right, let's do that under announcements.
Yeah, I have
So I've got
one
a few
thing.
things to go
We're
with
all
that.
like, we all got a few things.
All right, unfinished business, and Craig is going to talk about the bicycle wayfinding plan.
Okay, we had a couple outstanding items from the last meeting. There was a question about a digital component
Oh, yeah.
to the plan. I talked to the Regional Plan Commission. Within,
Visual component,
it was a digital
digital
component.
component, thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
So I talked to the Regional Plan Commission, and that is not in the scope, but what we think is that when we get finished with the plan, then we can look at that and see where we're sitting funding-wise
Okay,
and explore that option.
great.
They recommended waiting for now. They're also running their Bike Moves app, and they want to see how that functions too. And then we'll explore that. But really, also the funding is not there to add that. But we both thought it was a good idea.
Great.
Public input process. There were questions about 2 public meetings and whether those would be necessary. I talked with Gabe Lewis, who is the author of the scope. And they did feel that it was necessary to have 2 public meetings. They felt that it would be better to possibly coordinate the PED master plan and the bike wayfinding together.
Okay.
That's a possibility if the timing is there. They felt that there was a lot of info to cover, so it would be difficult probably to invite the public to a BPAC meeting to discuss. What we'll be doing though is staff will be bringing steering committee information to BPAC, and at that point it'll be on the agenda so people can come at that time.
You can invite.
And yeah, and they could show up there too. I want to read a little bit more. The first meeting, they're basically they'll begin the meeting with a brief overview of wayfinding best practices. So this is like after the concept has been defined and they've done their research. They'll share a common base level of understanding with respect to effective wayfinding designs and strategies. Then they will present the conceptual sign family options and facilitate a discussion where the members of the general public will be encouraged to share their priorities and preferences for the plan, for the wayfinding designs. They will follow this with interactive sessions where participants will be asked to identify bicycle wayfinding routes for consideration and identify routes they currently ride, navigate, navigational challenges, destination, and vision and goals for the wayfinding system. Out of that is a report summarizing the comments received during the meeting. Then they go through the more detailed prioritization of the criteria, the route selection and prioritization, the destination selection and prioritization. Then they go to the second meeting, which they say at that point proposes, or they say after defining the wayfinding system concept to be implemented, they once a preferred wayfinding design is developed, their staff will hold a meeting with members of the general public to unveil the proposed bicycle wayfinding design system and seek comments. And then again, they'll do a report. So they're kind of two different meetings is what they're thinking at this point. So they really felt that it was good to have two. I think from staff's viewpoint too, we certainly understand about public burnout, but we also understand that it's important to give folks an opportunity to comment. And we usually err on the side of caution and let people have more of a chance to comment than less of a chance to comment. So we're recommending that we proceed with the two public meetings.
And remind me, I think I asked last time, but it's not in the minutes, about whether we're going to have like something like wiki maps so that people can tell us the places they...
So, yeah, that was the second thing. Could the input be received online? And they said possibly. We could explore it. They did feel it was outside the scope, but I think what we'll do is look and see what, at that point, if there's a way that we can roll that out, at least some type of online input. At the very least, maybe we could, I don't know, perhaps staff could design some type of input there too.
Well, wiki maps works really well. I guess I feel like more people will have an opportunity to give us their input by having that online than at a public meeting, and that's one of the reasons why I asked about that, is because in terms of outreach to the public and providing access to the greatest number of people, it personally seems to me like a better use of resources to pay, for example, wiki maps than to spend them, because public meetings are very expensive.
Right.
They take a lot of staff time,
Okay.
and they cost a lot of money, and we get, depending on the meeting, not that many people compared to how many we can reach with an online tool. So that was one of the reasons why I asked that question. So I realized...
Have you ever used Wikimaps for the
Yes.
public input? Okay.
And you tend to get, for example, in Iowa City recently, I think we've had 74 people. They give you multiple... You get a lot of input from the same people. But, that's a community that's comparable in size. And that's quite a few people who spent a lot of time giving you route recommendations. This wasn't wayfinding, it's a bike plan and Wikimaps works really well. I don't know what the cost is. I'm not the person who sets that up. I'm not technically proficient, but it works really well. I know that the public likes that opportunity. They can not only designate destinations they want, routes that they want to go, but they can comment, and they can comment on other people's.
Would we want to do one at like a library where people would have access to computers and?
Well, they could access it at the library. It would be
I'd want to make sure that we
easily
were,
accessible.
and I'd want to make sure that we weren't like people who weren't comfortable, if we are like either with technology or of a certain age, they weren't able to give us comment. I want to make sure we were there to help them facilitate it.
They felt that online would supplement but not replace. So what we could do is, I could explore that with them further, but it would add cost to the proposal.
Yeah.
Does the commission have a thought?
I'll just share that one time in Champaign, we spent a lot of money on a fancy website, and it didn't get much use.
Which plan was that?
The zoning ordinance rewrite project.
Oh, that's an exciting topic.
Yeah, definitely.
I provided ample comments.
The point I'll make, though, is that a lot of it comes down to publicity, and
Right.
we didn't go out onto the morning show and say, "Oh, we have this new website where people can give public input on the zoning ordinance rewrite or whatever." So had we done a better job of going to different charitable organizations, they have the Elks groups, and you can go to their meetings, the Rotary clubs, and kind of push your project, and then you'll get more input. So I guess a learning lesson in that case was, if you're going to spend a lot of money on a website, you also need to promote it.
For sure.
But on the flip side, we could have probably just skipped the website, and done an event, because I think maybe to Cynthia's point a little bit, that topic probably wasn't going to generate a lot of excitement in the community anyway.
People
So-
just don't understand zoning,
Yeah.
basically.
Right.
So maybe in that case, we could have just done a open house and promoted that and saved the $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever it was they spent on the.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, there's something more concrete about a presentation in person that makes it more real and immediate. I have burned out about website surveys. I mean,
Right.
does that even
That was-
seem real?
Well, this
No.
isn't
Not
necessarily
even.
a survey. This
Well,
is
I
an
mean,
interactive
it
tool.
will fit into the same category of comment on this, comment on that, and
Right.
it just doesn't seem real anymore. It did initially at one time when I was young, but not anymore. It's just like, how many more of these things do? There's something concrete about we're bringing people together and here's the plans and talk about it.
I mean, I know, when I've commented on other projects in other cities, there is both the physical meeting and then you can go home and it kind of they overwhelmed you sometimes with paperwork, and then I was able to just go home and like fill in. I spent hours actually filling in, the digital what I wanted to be heard digitally. So that's my only. That's obviously at this point, then I'm just saying I want both. I would want both, but that's I think we're stretching the limits of this. So.
I think it's worth seeing how much it costs.
yeah, if there's a cheap way to do it.
Because it might, it might be shockingly, and at least find some way to at least have people able to contact, if all you have is pictures of the map and, on a page somewhere we already have, then at least,
But I mean, I do like public input. I like people being able to talk. I really think there's a lot of energy when people can talk to each other and say, well, this is how I get from here to here, and this is how I get from here to here, and then this is what I call this area, and this is like, I really think there is a lot of good that comes from people actually meeting and being with each other and talking,
So how about we pursue how much it costs, but I also want to,
yeah.
if the commission's okay with it, I'd like to also proceed with executing the agreement and moving this
Yep.
forward, so we can
Oh,
get
sure.
going.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we'll see how much it costs and see if we can fund it.
and if not, we'll just talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, there's online communities, we can talk it up and get feedback.
Okay. So that was really all
We could come to the meeting
Okay.
and
I
say,
think we had on that
Print
particular
out the-
topic.
And there's no reason why people can't even, why the digital component couldn't even be as simple as email us your route, or, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes we overthink the digital component. The digital
Right.
component can just easily be, how would you get, if you're gonna get from the Myers grocery store to downtown Urbana, how would you do that?
Yeah.
And just people would just be like, oh, I'll do this next, But anyway.
I do think the digital component could be something when we're finished to explore. I mean, I think we could really look into that and see what we could do there.
Yeah.
There was a comment made about liability. There's some concerns about that, meaning that if somebody was to get, I guess, while they're on their bicycle, they're following something and then so there's all these other concerns. But
People could sue us for anything.
I know.
But with the digital component, I just know with the buses, that's what everyone uses.
Yep.
right.
Everyone
right.
uses the so it just seems like there's already something in place that everyone is already using in the city.
Sure.
If we can just hop on that system, and if we can just somehow partner with that system, it just seems like
You can
the right
work
thing,
with
because we're
Google.
trying to get people to walk, bike, transit, and it just
Yeah.
seems like this would be the perfect, go to the parks, go to, you know what I mean? Like, this just seems like it
You
seems
have
to
to
me
work
like
with them and give them the data.
and then you don't have to learn a whole new code. We don't have to get a whole new website. All we're gonna do is just layer on top
Yep.
this other thing. And
That's-
Google's probably already done it and done a lot of the work.
But they need our
So-
stuff.
Yeah.
Well, how about when we finish, we can explore that and see what our
Yeah.
options are at that point and see what it costs to fund that too.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, the other reason I had been promoting this is because I feel like there are a lot of people, they simply cannot come to meetings. They work jobs that are on shifts, and I think we end up talking to each other and not the people who are the ones that most need
Right.
this system, and they are not going to show up at a public meeting.
Yeah, and that was
So,
at the bike thing that we all went to. That was the one thing they said is they went to soccer games. They went out, they just went out. They basically had the meetings out on the soccer fields. They just asked people for their input, like how do you get, what do you do? And they felt like they got a better system by just kind of pretty much just canvassing people.
yeah, they got an extra grant for public input for our LRTP, and they worked with MTD. We had a bus that went to public events, and that got an entirely different groups of people to give input that we would never, because you have to go to them. They aren't going to come to you. And it really did, they could go to special events for Spanish-speaking populations and other groups that won't show up at public meetings. We don't have that big a budget. So, okay, thanks for clarifying that. So, so we haven't executed the final agreement then?
No.
Okay, so we need to do that.
Yeah, so we'll ask the mayor
Okay.
to do that.
Okay.
Here in April, we'll get going.
Does that have to go just to the mayor, or does it have to go to the city council?
No, because we've already have the money budgeted
Okay,
for it.
all right,
so,
great. So that'll help expedite it?
Yep.
Okay. The annual report to the mayor and city council.
Well, I brought the draft along, just in case we,
You need to go to one page so people with not the most excellent sight can read it. Go under view and go to one page. Over one, there you
I think
go.
if you go one page, it's.
And then go to
small.
100%. Yeah. Well, that's interesting.
Do page width,
where's that?
right, down. There.
Ah,
That's
Shut that
perfect.
light off then,
Yeah.
please? Thank you. Take somebody younger than me. It keeps changing all
That's
the
the
time.
wrong. There we go.
So this was the draft that I incorporated just a few of those minor comments through there. So do you want to take the lead on this? Because I think, were you the one that compiled most of it, Cynthia?
Well, everybody contributed. Well, the people who volunteered sent me information, and so we divided it into quarters, and we went through and listed the main accomplishments for the year, as you see, the bicycle master plan, and then we said what we were going to be accomplishing, and that we will be working on the wayfinding plan and the pedestrian master plan. There were some items that we had discussed in 2016 that we have not done anything else with. And I did call the mayor's office about appointment of a permanent chair. I'm not sure with the transition underway there what's going to happen with that, but I have not heard back. So additional community engagement through social media is something that actually we have on the agenda for tonight, but these are items that we were looking at that we did not make any determination about. And I don't remember if you ever got back to us with information about the no parking and bike lanes and whether that's needed.
No, unfortunately, I did not.
Okay, that's something we might still take a look at. We could explore further community bike registration, and I think there is a sort of a people on pavement event underway, but not with BPAC as an open streets sort of event that's.
Yeah, I'll talk, I can talk about it at the end, like where we're at with
Yeah.
that concept.
Okay, and then what we were focusing on for 2017 is basically the same stuff that we were just talking about. So we just went through and said what we did each month and basically what we discussed, action
This
items
would be
primarily.
16, right?
Yeah, it's that way for all quarters.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Oops. Thank you. And so different people went through and read the minutes. I looked through the minutes too, and if there was anything in there that I thought we ought to throw in, I did that too. So it was basically that we focused on the bicycle master plan and various projects and studies underway on sidewalks and law enforcement practices. So that was that. In the second quarter, we developed some future goals, which we might want to revisit in April now that I'm looking at that. I talked about the parking and bike lanes. In May, we didn't have a meeting. We did approve bylaws in June and discussed our goals and future people on pavement event. Then we, in the third quarter, I moved in to the position as the interim chair for BPAC until a permanent chair is appointed. And we talked about bicycle registration and parking and bike lanes. Talked about the Bradley Avenue bike lanes, which I assume are going to happen soon.
Yeah, we're doing a really large pavement marking program
Oh,
this
good.
year, and we'll be
Yay.
doing that actually it'll be going out to bid hopefully in April, and then be doing it here in early summer.
Yay. And then we had an update on the IDOT safety improvement study, and I think we'll talk about that a little bit again tonight. And then we got a presentation on the Prairie Campus Safe Routes to School plan. So that,
I've got to change these.
yeah, and then we had, we talked about, as part of the registration for bikes, how we could set up an incentives program, but we haven't come up, I don't think, with funding for that.
We actually we did get a $25,000 grant at the university for updating our bicycle registration program to be an RFID system, so
Oh,
we can
good.
build in incentives with registering your bicycle and
Cool.
biking on campus. So that's something that we're working on right now
Cool.
on the campus
By
side.
RFID?
Radio frequency identification.
Yeah.
It's a really broad term. I mean,
Right.
it's, when you swipe your Venture card, or to, tapping your phone up against Schnucks
Right.
thing. But it's anytime that radio frequency, it has like a little identification number to it, or asset tracking. A lot of companies use that for things. It's something where your bicycle, we would put a little chip there, and it's tied to your bicycle registration, and it wouldn't emit any energy, it wouldn't do anything, but when it went by a sensor, it would say that Annie Adams biked to work that day, and then we
It's
could
like the
enter
one
you
at the
into a
middle
pool
school.
for
I was trying to
a
think.
gift card for $5 off your grocery bill, or
Well, that's great.
like
That's an incentive program.
it is. University of Minnesota has been very successful at it, and after a couple of years of their program, after a couple of years of their program, they were able to also go to health insurance companies and get healthcare premium discounts for their employees.
Wow.
So
So people that
the-
work for the University of
The long-term
Minnesota.
goal is to make
Great.
it a really good
Yep.
incentive program, not just for registration, but
Check
for
that out.
biking to work.
Yep.
Now, could you
Alright.
like put duct tape over it if you were going someplace, to your,
You're going to a protest or?
yeah.
It depends on the sensor strength, the antenna strength. You could just
Or just
take
get
it
your
off.
iPhone.
For sure.
Kids at the middle school just have a little card.
In Chicago.
Ohio,
Yeah.
University of Ohio, I'm sorry, not University of Ohio, Ohio State has a Bug Your Bike program. It's also an RFID program. And I would assume that if you're going to steal a bike and you knew about the Bug Your Bike program,
You take it off.
you'd just take it off. But
So yeah, because that's really why I thought you were doing it, was for about stealing bikes, but
that's definitely a
That'll be
component to
part
it. A
of
lot
it.
of people, a lot of, like, Ohio State uses that, and that's their big incentive for registering your
Right,
bicycle, is
that's
that
right.
when it's registered, we know that the last sensor that it's been by. And in that case, we have kind of a clue, and there's a closed circuit.
have they had
TV
theft
network on
drop
campus.
because of it?
I do not know that.
I guess you'd have to
I do
let the
not know.
thieves know that it's actually happening.
University of Minnesota doesn't even go there. They don't use this as a theft deterrent.
Okay.
They use this as an incentive, and a lot of businesses have signed in. And
That's a good idea.
That's great. I'm gonna check that out.
yeah,
Really
we're building
exciting.
it in-house, and we have that grant for that.
Cool.
That's really
That's
exciting.
good.
So that's something that we have been doing on the university
Okay,
side.
well, we
for
should get you to
incentives.
give us an update when you
Yeah.
get it rolled.
Yeah, sure. I just got a $700 sensor today at work. It's great. Really fancy.
Well, we spent about $5,000 installing one in the middle school. It's
That's
the
cool.
solar powered
That's
system.
also very cool that you guys just went to a company and bought it. We are developing ours in-house. But they're such
Well,
But that just
amazing.
seems
yeah,
like a
but the
technical
maintenance, we
I
have
can
to
see
pay
that
an annual
competition,
fee,
though.
and now that we don't have a grant,
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know, we've paid it up, but we're gonna have a problem maintaining it
But I
in
can
the
see like the
future.
students on campus.
They're great. They're amazing.
Yeah.
And they're working
They
on
are
it really
amazing.
hard.
Okay, so the
Very
fourth
hard.
quarter, we,
Sorry.
we looked at process and budget for our pedestrian master plan and our wayfinding plan. We got some more information about that. We talked about, I guess we approved the bicycle master plan. And also did a little more, we had a few presentations about wayfinding. I think that is that. Yeah, okay. I think that's it. Yeah, that was it. So with any additional changes, is there anything else?
Well, I suggest that we look at the bylaws that describe the annual report, and rather maybe than just have it chronological with extremely snippy summary at the top, we make this a little bit of a policy advisory document, because if we look at our bylaws, there's, and if we could put all these same achievements, but put them organized under our purpose for being, because the bylaws have advised the city council on bicycle and pedestrian issues. Well, we provided input on numerous issues that came before, so we could put them under that. We could put, then there's analyze routing, operation, and safety of bicycles, review and make recommendations regarding the city's capital improvement plan. We saw Bradley Avenue, we saw University Avenue. And that way it would be more topical instead of just chronological.
Yeah, because I would be happy
yeah.
to make this into a very nice PowerPoint, whatever you want to call it, PowerPoint presentation. I'm happy to do that. I just couldn't figure out how to organize it in my head when because
this, if you look
right,
at
that's
this,
what you
this
were
sort of
saying.
gives
That's
a
why I think it's
framework.
interesting.
It gives a framework for organizing it into what our actual recommendations were,
Right.
and instead of just saying, approve this. And it would be even really good is, if we actually put those recommendations in writing, like not just review the University Avenue plan, but, and I know those are in the minutes, but summarize it so it's more of a executive document that they don't have to read all the minutes and not just say we reviewed it, but actually what came out of
If
that.
someone wants to give me, if someone wants to organize that information into a way, and then I can put it into a presentation.
That would be cool, because then we could give a presentation and that would really draw attention.
Well, I just think it would make a lot more sense for people, because it's like this, for a lot of people, this is not a topic they ever honestly even think about. So it's like if you have once a year to present what we've all been thinking about a lot and spent a lot of time on, if we just have this one opportunity, I'm seriously more than happy to do it. I'm just not sure I'm the person to do this stuff here. I mean, I could, but I'm not sure I'm the person.
I would be glad to help you with that part.
Okay.
Well, I can too.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. Because I can make it pretty and
Yeah, I think that, presenting this in a topical format rather than chronological would just be
You can do that.
a lot more comprehensive.
I just think it would make a lot more sense because they've been, I've watched last night's city council meeting with the sewer thing, and I was halfway through like, oh my lord, I can't do it. I just can't do it. Bless you people. It's like, I bless you all, but I'm out.
Well, the other thing I had thought is that we could discuss if we want to make recommendations to the city council for goals and.
That's what I think. I think
We
it's a lot
absolutely-
clearer.
That's what
We can absolutely do that.
I think it would be a lot clearer in that format. Like,
Okay.
it would be a lot more, So
Absolutely.
So I don't know.
Yes, Charlie.
And there's going to be some things that we maybe didn't do this year, and that's, we say
Sure.
that was not touched this year.
Yeah, but
Develop
that's,
education and public outreach programs on bicycle and pedestrian issues. We really didn't do
Timing
that this
is
year.
probably good because with the new city council, they'll be doing a new set of goals. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, coming
and I
forward with a
will
really
also point
informed.
out that the new mayor is a bicyclist who regularly complains about Race Street. Sorry, Craig.
It's all right. It's all right. You only do so much with the money I'm given, right?
Sit there all day
Some more
long.
money for some things.
Currently, I have it scheduled for the 10th of April for committee of the whole. We can move that back if we
Yeah, we'll
need to.
need to.
Okay.
So if you all can work on that and,
okay.
because you've got the document. I think you sent it out to everyone.
Yeah, I can,
Yeah.
What I could do,
I'll save this and send it out.
Yeah, and then.
and then what I could do is look at it, and I could try to put it together the best, what makes the most sense for me, or do you want to put it together what makes the most sense?
Yeah, I
And then
can
could-
reorganize
Okay.
it topically and send it to you.
Then send it to
or
me, and
send
then
it to
I'll make it,
everyone.
I'll make it, yeah, then I
Yeah,
can
just
make
send
it.
it out. because-
Yeah, send it out.
Yeah,
Keep
and then I'll make it
contributing
kind of
to it.
pretty, and then
So I'd
y'all
like
can
to
just
help.
give feedback on the
Yeah.
pretty.
And
Can you put it on the April 24th?
We could, yeah. I mean, if they're ready, yeah.
And,
This shouldn't be that.
and
Well, you know what, when
And
does the
then
new
it's all
council
done.
get
It's
seated?
organized.
Right.
May 1?
This is not, we're
Right.
not gonna end
So
up in
you'd see both
heated
councils
debates
would
because
see
we're
it.
saying what we
Yeah.
Well,
said.
and except
Okay.
if we actually
And
do.
how does that
proceed
work?
with
Do we all like go to that
Well, they
meeting,
should.
stand up and sing it, or
But I think.
No, I mean,
I did, yeah.
that's
as a
where.
representative?
There might be
We've never
discussion,
done,
yeah.
we haven't done it before.
Oh, cool.
This
I think
is
we can
new
do
territory,
it.
really.
To like,
It could be where the chair is presenting and maybe somebody else is there with them,
Yeah.
but then we all come
Do
as
that.
support.
yeah, we could do
Yeah, I
that.
And be
think that's
there.
what should happen.
Well, one of the things I wanted to put in there is a goal for them to look at how to hire someone whose job it is to coordinate all the bicycle stuff, and maybe set a goal that we have a full-time person or contribute toward a full-time person for the community in 5 years. But that meanwhile, perhaps we could start with a student intern whose job it is to help organize things, because we're stalled out, for example, on Bike Month right now because we don't have anybody whose job that is, and CCB isn't in a position to carry that load. They did it for 3 years.
But realistically, time is already on your staff, I guarantee you. You're already spending time on bicycle stuff, right? Or not really at all.
Well, I mean, mine is infrastructure related, but,
They are.
you know, we do planning.
So we could just
things.
say, you know, if we could get, when the time comes for this, we could say, you know, currently 10 hours a week or 5 hours a week is being spent. We would like to up that, and then we could just do an incremental, like, I don't know.
But somehow, if anybody wants to take a shot at how to develop the wording for that goal so that we could include that, along with, you know, completing our wayfinding plan and our pedestrian plan this year. Those are big, big jobs for us to do this next year. But implementing the bike plan is another one, and that's one of the goals that we had in there that I think we might want to encourage them to help support.
Yeah, if you can get, I can do it, and we're gonna just.
Okay.
Right, the one thing is that if this is the annual report for last year, it should only have things we decided last year,
Right.
probably.
right,
Rather than.
that's what,
Right,
Our-
but
we can have
but
another
the
document that could be our
recommendations,
goals for
but
this
based
year.
on
Yeah.
what this said, if we were gonna make recommendations, those things came out of the bicycle master plan, for example, that we adopted, so we could say, you know, what we want to do this next year is encourage you to allocate resources toward the following, and we'll be working on these plans this next year. So. Okay.
Finished.
All right, new business. Traffic calming, the parked car
And I can magically sit here.
as a chicane. And he's going to talk about this.
Can I just?
You can do it from here.
Might not work.
You don't think it'll fit?
Yeah,
Too far?
it barely works when it's like right there. So.
Okay.
yeah, you can move that.
Let me know if you want to switch.
I'm good, it's right
Okay,
there. I'm gonna
okay.
do high res. I'm gonna leave low res on the computer because don't they always want a copy of this? Or do they not want to need a copy?
You have to mail it. She usually asks.
Oh, email
you
it?
to
Oh,
email
okay.
it to
Then I'm
her.
not gonna deal with
Yeah.
that right
I don't
now.
think she can access it here.
Bam, bam, there it is. I think we just do play or something. Move this very slowly. Oh,
Full
this is
screen
how it
mode?
works. Where do you see it?
Right, control L, or down there, full screen mode.
Tell me where to go.
Just
Just
roll your
down.
mouse
There's
down.
the bottom.
There you go.
There
Oh,
you
yep,
Right
oops,
above the
yeah.
tracker.
Bam! All right, and then I bet I just hit this to go right and left. Okay,
Yeah.
so chicane is park car. This is just an idea, something to think about long term. I know Craig said we've already stripped a lot of parking in Urbana, but if we ever had the opportunity to, I know it's expensive to put signs up, but this is just one simple suggestion. It's going to get a little more complicated. I actually really chose a couple streets near where I live, and I really thought this implementation would work, and surprise, surprise, this is not the implementation I chose to fix the problem, which I was like, whatever. So, but we'll still talk about it. So chicaneous parked car. So basically what you do is you move the parking like every other, and so do you see how the street's sort of moving there? And what you're doing is you're increasing the perception of risk. So cars won't just zoom down the streets.
You don't have a straight shot.
Yep. All right, so how do we get it now? Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
What is a chicane? A series of alternating mid-block curb extensions or islands that narrow the roadway and require vehicles to follow a curving S-shaped path, discouraging speeding. Chicanes can also create new areas for landscaping and public space on the roadway. And so, again, that is where they become expensive, but that is something that they can do. Let's go this way. Oddly, it's the left click. All right, chicanes can be created on roads with various configurations. And they can be using alternating parking from side to side. You can use different types of parking, so parallel parking and perpendicular parking. So what, I mean, my initial thought, the inexpensive solution I had in my head was, we already have these cars parking on the streets. Instead of doing curb bump outs like you see here, let's just use the cars. Because that's pretty much what they're acting as. And obviously it would need a little more work than that. As I kind of looked into it further, I found out. So we'll keep going onto that. So the chicane in both conditions may include median islands. Yeah. And so there's a second slide to this. And it gets wider. So I was just trying to figure out what a lane width was.
10 feet is what is recommended in most communities for a standard lane width. I will say where we have frequent bus service, we need 11 feet because for the buses to pass one another, I mean, they can do it, but it's very tight and mirrors get knocked off.
Yeah, so that's the next slide. So each lane width discussed should be informed by an understanding of the goals for the street. So what you're trying to do to the street, and making space for larger vehicles such as trucks and buses. And they say 10 feet are appropriate in areas that have a positive impact on street safety without impacting traffic operations. Small print. Lane width 14 to 20 feet. Because chicanes are intended to slow traffic, design should consider transit and emergency vehicles. Chicanes should not be located on streets with rapid or local lines.
But 14 to 20.
Yeah, so there's, well, this is necto. I don't know. I was just sort of generally trying to put something in here about this. So again, at the bottom you see another picture of a chicane. So they just instead of having parking stripped just on one side of the street, they stripped it on two sides. So you would have to move your car around, and then you can see there's also white paint on the ground, and then there's a curb bump out with a tree on it. So this, in my opinion, is a very fancy chicane. This is obviously a ridiculously wide road that they are trying to narrow to slow traffic down. So they used quite a few. This is the shifted parking model.
Which works.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It does work.
Have you seen it work? I mean, have you seen? I mean, I'm interested too. This one actually has. What do you think about the bike parking on here? I was kind of surprised by
bike
that.
Parking in the street.
I didn't know if that was.
This is much higher density than.
I was trying to
most of the
if
streets
this
we're
was like
talking about.
aspirational or real. Okay.
It's your.
This is a median and a curb bump out. So you have the other thing that I like about these is there's gardening, which is something Urbana really likes. Lots of green space. This chicanes will increase property values. Because you're slowing traffic down, you're slowing the noise level down. This in Chicago, I became to understand these when I lived in Chicago. A lot of traffic circles. This street in particular that you're looking at here is actually a one-way car street and a two-way bike street.
It's got a contraflow bike lane.
Yeah, it's an interesting street to bike down, but they do have this And I know when they put these in my neighborhood, the residents really wanted them. The fire trucks were very much against them. The fire trucks were like, it's going to take an extra 20 seconds to get to your house.
It actually, the research shows it actually improves fire response time by reducing congestion.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, firefighters are in many places are operating on old information.
Well, that's interesting. Well, they did put them in, and the fire trucks said no emergency vehicles ever had a problem getting up our street. They had to go a little bit slower, I suspect. Yeah, it's Powar's district. It's
How do you keep people from turning left before they get instead of going around?
What's interesting, yeah, people get confused by these. So again, it increases the perception of risk. People sometimes think it's a roundabout and then they go left or they go right or they go, but I found what's interesting to me is there's actually a really simple solution. This is what they're doing in Chicago.
Sign it.
Yeah. I'll show you. So this is the street that I've been thinking about. This street is Cottage Grove. It's a street behind me. And my neighbors, I have neighbors who live on this street, and they wanted me to let you know, cars do go 45 to 50 miles an hour down this street. They do see cars try to, I was kind of stunned. And so what happens when you have
so straight and long.
Yeah, and what happens is you don't have neighbors across the street when you have a street designed like this, because it's just too much traffic, too fast. So there's that, and then look at that, an arrow. That's all they had to do in Chicago was put arrows on them. So
Nice photoshopping,
Did you go out
Oh,
and build this
yeah.
and then take a photo of it?
A little Google mapping. What's so funny is I'm like so beyond lazy. I was like Google map. Like I was like I didn't even walk outside my house and do this. I was like Google map.
What would be really nice is to have something like that for our stop for pedestrian and crosswalk signs, where we have them. They've taken the temporary ones and stuck them out there as permanent fixtures, which people run over. And if we had something more like that, it would help them a little.
Cars
bit.
don't want to hit those. Yeah, no, those pedestrian signs. Cars, I find frequently hit them for some reason. I find them. They're frequently run over. I don't understand the pedestrian stuff, why they hit them. But this, so little paint on the ground, a tiny traffic circle, a little pedestrian, and then more paint on the ground, yellow lines.
Snow plows.
Yeah.
Well, you design them so the snowplows can get around them. Vancouver has a lot of traffic circles. I have a whole bunch of pictures, and the neighborhood then assumes responsibility for landscaping and maintenance of the traffic circles.
It becomes more of a placemaking exercise.
Place.
Yeah. It becomes
They gain ownership of it.
Yep, they take ownership of it. It becomes a place. You can recognize it. I mean, that's what was funny about even that Chicago picture I showed you. My husband went, "Oh, Chicago." Like I was like, oh my God, you don't even ride a bike, and you knew that this was like it really like just these little pieces of street furniture really caused that. So this is right behind,
And I definitely, I live on one street in from Cottage Grove too, and I was biking down Cottage Grove right before this meeting here, and there was a car driver who didn't want to stop for the stop sign, so when we both stopped at the stop sign, they decided to roll right over, next to me, about 6 inches away, and then give me this look like, what are you doing on the street? If you slow down traffic, it looks like I'm supposed to be here, and now right here it's just too fast, and people are like, I don't want to stop at the stop sign because I want to keep going.
Well, there's
fast.
no. I mean, this is seriously. There's nothing. I mean, now there's something.
Sweet.
Yeah. Now, and also it's like you see that planting. What happens with that planting? Well, that car is like, oh lordy, I can't see.
You didn't even put the leaves around.
Yeah, we got the leaves around.
I suspect.
That's a true artist.
I suspect they were there. Let me tell you. Do you notice there's only 3 signs on this one? I really did have a deadline. I mean, I was seriously like 1 hour.
Annie, I do want to just let you know that I think me, Craig, and Kevin, we frequently see designs that we pay lots of money for at the institutions that we work for and that don't look as good as this.
Oh, well, let me know.
I should show you the new design center on campus. They can take a lot of attempts for you.
Wow, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, no, I can make. That's nice to hear. That's hilarious. Yeah, no, this is. It's funny. I mean, I was recently I was on vacation with my sisters. I was showing them something I want to do to my house, and they were like, "God, that's amazing!" And I was like, That took me like
It's
4
software.
minutes.
Right, right.
I was like, okay. I'm like, it's low res though. Don't blow it up. Anyway, so yeah. So basically, this is just another way to think about this. And then this street would become, a lot of people walk their dogs on the street. A lot of kids go to school on this street. This street then becomes a much slower street, and it becomes a more enjoyable, almost boulevard type street.
I think this is something we can look at the pedestrian plan.
That's what, that's what I told Devin and Alex who live on Wash. I said,
Well,
I
we talked about
guarantee-
Anderson and Washington too.
Yeah. So yeah, because they're high use streets and everyone wants to use them, and so we should maybe make them comfortable for everyone to use. So that's it.
Cool.
I
Thank
got.
you.
Yeah.
We're also effective at dealing with drunks.
What?
Yes, it works well with drunk people.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yeah, because if they run into something, they run into it and get stuck, and they don't hit anybody.
Right, they hit things instead of people.
Right.
I just know on
Not
the
to sacrifice the planter or
Yeah.
anything, but
Yeah, the
Someone's
traffic signals in particular are where really bad T-bone crashes occur because we're expecting people to follow the rules, and if you have a well-designed roundabout, that just does not happen.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is like, I know I've brought up in this meeting before, like speed bumps, and I did think it was interesting, the NACTO slide earlier said that emergency vehicles do not like speed bumps. A lot of people don't like speed bumps, aside from the cost of them, because that was kind of always my initial instinct was like, well, what if we just raise the sidewalk to a higher, the sidewalk level basically, and then people have to go over that, basically a sidewalk to get through the intersection, but you kind of just got to put a big object in front, and again, it increases the perception of risk, which makes people think, oh wait, there's something happening here, I'm in a different
The
space.
other thing is with the speed humps, there's a certain percentage of the population which is willing to bottom out their vehicles. Because I've got lots of pictures that on the far
Yeah.
side of the speed bump there are gouges in the pavement,
Yeah.
and so they slow most people down. But there's I don't know what the percentage is, but there's a certain percentage that's willing to drag their car on the ground
And
and
the
slow down.
only thing I can
Or you
say,
don't see 'em.
yeah, or you don't see them. Oh no, it's true actually. When people, my friend who
That
came from
means
New
it's
York,
not well marked.
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah,
true
and the
because
yellow
the
paint's
painting
not there
comes off.
anymore.
Yeah, a friend of mine lost her muff. She came from New York City, and
Yeah, well,
she
then
was
you can
like,
sue.
well, she was just like, well, yeah. So I mean, but the thing is, what's interesting about these like circles is people do not even though look at the crosswalks. I mean, well, the zebra stuff is nice, like those actually work versus the horizontal, but because people are going to slowly pull through the intersection now, right? Do you see? There's no stop
Yeah.
signs here. There's no like. It's kind of like, oh, we all got to figure this
Well,
out.
that one's a little big. I'd want it a little tighter, but
But it's just, yeah, it's more like, because, normally there's like a stop sign and then people are angry because you didn't stop at the stop sign. But like this is like, no, we're just going to slow it all down so everybody can just move about and get to where they need to get.
we need a good location for our first application that's that's a
Garages.
easy application
Front
so that
garages.
we can. That
And then at the end,
Well,
and then at the end,
that is not the intersection I want to start with because
Yeah.
it's messy. I'd like a straight 4-street
Good idea.
perpendicular intersection.
I'm surrendering on how to get out of here. Oh, you have
Complete
hit
escape.
There you go. Thanks.
Oh, thanks for that, Ann. Those
this
are
is
great
probably
visuals.
such a too congested of an intersection, but what about just down the road at Vine in Washington?
Yeah. that's-
Fine in
It's
Washington,
too
we don't
congested
have
maybe, but-
space for a roundabout.
Oh, okay.
That is so tight that I mean that
But you could
intersection
put
is
that
a
little
problem.
tiny thing. That's
I
the
don't know if
thing.
we can with the buses going through there. It is so tight.
Yeah.
I'm not
There's
actually
just so
sure
many
we can.
choices. I just, when I get to that intersection, I have so many.
That one is a problem.
I was driving there today and you got so many choices and all those kids
Yeah.
and I'm so convinced I'm going to be looking at a car. That's why it's like if there was a circular object in the middle, we don't
Well,
all
our
have
car
to-
was totaled at that intersection by the driver that ran the stop sign.
It's hilarious, the Photoshop.
Well, in East Urbana, there are a lot of roads that going east-west, there are no stop signs. There's just stop signs going
Right.
north-south.
Yeah.
And through all of those intersections, those are times where you
Yep.
you were expecting people to comply with the law.
Yes.
And if that could go horribly wrong at any point,
Yep.
for sure.
Yep, that's
so-
right. All right, next on our agenda, we have been talking about doing a survey. This is part of our outreach that we have been talking about doing. And so this is a collaboration that Lily and Annie and I all worked on. And my intern, she also worked on taking they did one in Chicago. And so we took that and we redid it to for our own purposes. So we thought we could do an easy Survey Monkey and ask people questions about what we're doing and how to get more input from them. So let's scroll on through there.
Just to preface all of this, I almost went to the wrong meeting tonight downstairs, and I noticed it was the wrong meeting because there's already an
People.
audience there. I was like, this can't be it. But at the same
Yes.
time, everybody move it upstairs, you know.
Yes.
So this
So
is
we
all
just
in
asked
a
them
very good
questions
attempt.
like this.
How can we make
Yeah.
this an event people can go to?
Well, Craig suggested we take out the more than 10 because we didn't have enough meetings to do
Actually,
that.
I counted and we had 11.
We did? All
Yeah.
right.
So I kept it in.
All right, we can leave it
It's
at.
legit.
Oh, Charlie's the only one who can get up in the score there.
I think that was my comment, because Craig sent this around for comments, and I said, more than 10, or my name is Charlie Smythe, or Jeff Young.
I took that out, the public, yeah, I took that
I
out.
can only do 9, I think.
I don't think he got 10 in.
I only
It was
did one
close.
before I got on.
You just have 5 or more.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
if they
true.
didn't attend, why not? And, you know,
Let's
that'll
face
be
it.
interesting. We may get a lot of comments in other. And then what I think really important to ask them is what is it they think we ought to be doing? And so what kind of agenda items. And, you know, there was I don't know how many of you saw it, but there was a really good report last night on the news about the pedestrian crashes on University, and they talked to the public health district. They see this as a public health issue. Brandon did a nice job. And that's why I wanted to talk about that next. So that has garnered some interest and as something that I think it's really good timing we're doing the pedestrian plan because we haven't focused on pedestrians very much, and
So then
with
should-
that continuing to happen and the increasing in that area, this is something we need to address.
Should we include fatal and serious injury, bicycle and pedestrian?
Yes, we
crash?
should. Actually, I thought that was there, and glad you noticed that. Charlie.
You'd be amazed with the number of people who watch stuff on YouTube.
They do indeed.
So you probably would
Oh.
That's good.
ask the question, do you watch, or do you know, how does
You attended or watched?
Do you watch on UPTV?
We probably should do
Oh,
that.
cool.
Yeah, it is
Where is
rather
that?
remarkable.
Oh, that's interesting. So instead of just attending, did you attend in 2016 or watch on UP?
Well, it should be a separate.
We
Are they
might want to
separate?
do it
Yeah.
as a separate question. Well, maybe,
How
How
many
many
people
people-
We know no one's attending. I mean,
Well, that's, no,
how
that's,
dare you like?
right. We will,
That's
yeah.
just a
Separate
try.
question or combine it?
To validate
Keep
the
it simple,
survey.
just say, or watch on UPTV.
I would just.
Yeah,
say
I know,
or
like,
watch.
we're gonna just make sure that, see how many people actually select 5 to 10. Just be like, all right. I don't know.
We know you're both.
Yeah, it validates the survey.
Okay.
Very
Well,
valid.
let's
Yeah.
not get to count 10.
But now if we say watch,
We might get a few
we're not
more.
gonna be able to.
We might.
We could have a fan club.
It's probably not one we want
You
to
would be amazed.
No, it really is
There's
amazing.
like drinking games going on right
The
now.
people who tell me they watch on UPTV
Yes.
council meetings.
They do.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, but
It's
there's
also a
council
testimonial to
meetings.
what's on TV. Programming that we're as interested as anything on television.
Reality TV is changed.
Completely
changed
true,
the
Cynthia.
landscape.
Completely true.
Okay, what was the next thing we
So
had?
we were here.
Yeah, and then,
So this is where we're at.
and we talked about whether we should say the project profiles charrettes to foster group discussion. I don't know if people are going to understand what that is, but how do you reword that? Should we say workshops?
I thought I changed that to, I changed it up here, bike ped project profiles to foster.
Oh,
So,
okay, so
what
we
if
could
we
change
did-
it to that there. Okay. Okay.
And then take out charrettes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty geeky planning term.
Yeah.
And a lot of knock on planners tonight.
I
isn't it?
suggested that come out. I'm like,
Yeah, he's the king of like, let's not use this.
I think that's stuff we pull straight out of the Chicago one, so we can point to them as being terminology
Little cuts.
geeks.
Food or drink, I like that.
Hey, pizza. I think we discussed
Beer?
that at the June meeting. Was what do you expect
Wait,
from
it does
us?
say time or something, right? I think
Yeah,
I reviewed
daytime.
this already. Yeah.
Although I don't know how much flexibility we actually have.
Right, but it's
That we
good.
can ask.
It's good to know.
Was the
Yep.
SCI training?
Next
Food
one.
and drink.
Yep.
We're expecting.
Do that one. We
Did
could
we
change
ask
the
them if
format.
they ride a bike rather than just how long have you been riding a bike? Did we ask?
Well, it says I don't ride a bike.
Okay.
Or should there be another box saying maybe I'm much more interested in pedestrian stuff, and that's why I'm taking this
Do we have
survey?
another
Yeah, a lot of
question?
people are.
Yeah, we have other stuff about pedestrian.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
go down. I think we do more on pedestrians. And then we ask them why, and we let them check all that apply. And then what they
We do
like.
pedestrian after the biking?
I think so.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. Nice.
I think we'll find we have a high percentage of people who walk for
Yep.
exercise and recreation.
Well, yours
But we
too.
also have a high number, by American standards, who commute by walking too. It
Do
occurs.
lighting?
I think we have lighting in there somewhere, do we?
Yep, next one
Sure.
down, I think.
You
Yep.
can
Yeah.
attach it to.
Does it,
Yep.
did it say streetscape?
Yeah.
Nice streetscape? Does people know what that means?
Not
Like
really.
Nice trees.
Yeah.
Nice.
Probably landscaping.
Well, and that you could also mean lighting too as well.
Yeah,
Sure,
I think
benches
nice
and
landscaping or street
Landscaping,
landscaping,
yeah,
maybe
Yes,
street.
nice street landscaping would kind of
Yeah.
convey it.
There you go, yeah, that's nice.
Oh, nice.
Should we have an option for them to say they don't like to walk because of bicycles?
We have other.
That's
There's an
impossible.
other.
We have other, so.
Okay, I,
Don't worry, there will be, people will say that.
Yeah.
It's not the cars.
We've all
it's
heard
the-
it.
It's the cyclists.
That's-
Kind of wondering what other animals people might be afraid of. Dogs or other animals.
Squirrels.
Turkeys.
Turkey.
That's a thing.
We have
Thing in
chicken.
Urbana.
There we go.
Fox.
There we go.
Street
And
chickens.
I'm not afraid of the chickens, but the turkeys can be rude.
And I've seen somebody walking a goat. When I first worked for a band, I saw a guy walking a goat. I had to go around the block and check it out again, and I thought that was so cool.
Sunday I walked to the grocery store in Urbana and I saw someone walking not on stilts but on a metal, like on these metal things that are about
Like
3 feet,
curved
4
and
feet.
stuff?
Yeah, off the
Oh,
ground.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool.
very different modes of transportation in Urbana for sure.
yeah.
So standard,
Got it. Standard census groups.
yeah.
Do we have, would you please join BCAG? For sure, 2 people.
So what's the plan to distribute the survey then?
Survey monkey?
That's what we had talked about doing, but I wanted to make sure that
Would we create a Facebook event? And then,
we could do
Yeah.
that.
Absolutely.
But first, is everybody comfortable with our doing this?
Are there no legal issues in putting out a survey from a government commission? I know we have mega ones that they wish to guys, just to get federal approval and all that.
Don't know, I can ask. I'll ask.
What about incentives for filling out the survey?
I have found that those work really well.
A drawing.
If you're willing to give their name and contact information, when we did it in Grand Rapids, we got 2,000 people. We offered a mini iPad.
Oh, yeah, do a survey
okay,
for mini.
wow.
And we offered swim passes for the pool for summer.
Oh, that's nice.
And some bike shops donated some stuff. So if we could get something like that, that would be helpful
Around here, we
to
probably just
encourage
do it for
people.
pizza.
Yeah, pizza.
You know, a drawing, even a drawing for pizza.
But I think we could ask about things
You'd
like
be
pool
amazed.
passes, summer pool pass.
We found that when we do incentive campaigns, if we hand out a coupon for a free burrito, it's amazing what kind of
Yeah,
responses
and
we get.
it's true. So we could do that. Does anybody want to volunteer to round up donations toward incentives?
We'll all ask about the pool stuff.
That would be great. Yeah.
No promises. I'm just
Yeah, I mean, one or two would be plenty. I
Yeah.
don't think we don't need to
I mean,
offer.
that's a, you know.
What's an appropriate price for a pedestrian?
Shoes.
Yeah.
We could ask heel to toe for a gift certificate.
Throw the obvious one there.
Does somebody know Van or the owner of?
I can ask Van.
I know that we have a couple of extra bike light sets that we can also chip in.
I can
use.
email Peter Davis and Jared Durst.
Okay.
I could ask Neutral Cycle.
Okay.
They probably have some stuff.
So, yep.
All right.
And they could ask like Pizza M if they want to donate a pizza.
Well, they need a
Too
coupon for a
complicated.
pizza.
Like physical objects are just so much easier.
P-Pack will
That's like
deliver you.
Okay.
So how would this be distributed?
Well, we would need to use social media to get the word out and send a press release also. And so the city will have to set it up, and that's another thing that Craig will have to investigate
I
for
wonder how
us.
much those targeted Facebook ads cost, because if you
Not
see
much.
your
Not much.
local,
Yeah.
they
Like
become
a
like
regular
micro-local now, they know just
Yeah.
where you
I-
live,
I
and
don't
that
know.
comes in just.
Yeah, I think so.
But the question, that would take budget to do the little ads, so I don't know whether you all have any budget for stuff like that.
We are limited in our budget, but we will explore.
All right.
It seems like it, yeah, I wonder how much they are.
And my intern could certainly help create the Survey Monkey. She does this kind of work all the time. If you guys need help with the time on that, she could certainly work on creating it.
That would be helpful. I don't personally have any experience with it.
She's done,
I could do it, but
you've got lots of other stuff to do. Yeah, so once we find out that we can host it on the city, if doing that is a big problem, I can set it up on the Safe Routes to School website. But what we want to do is have a link on the city website that just redirects people to that
Sure.
location, because we really want the focus to be this is a city activity, not somebody else's. But I think in order to do this size of a survey on SurveyMonkey, there's a small charge. I know MTD has an account on SurveyMonkey. I don't know if the city does.
we do.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay, then that'll make it easy.
Is it by number of participants?
Number of questions.
Number of questions?
Yeah. Yeah, they have a certain limit on the free, how many questions you can ask in the free one.
Yeah, so basically you set up the Facebook event and then you just invite a ton of people and then we all share it with a ton of people.
Yeah, send it out on Twitter, send it to Smile Politely, send it to the people we know who are big social media activity people, press releases
You
to
can also
media.
print up the Do You Bike Walk Urbana survey, like I could make a poster. You could
Mhm. And if you make the prizes a prominent part of the advertising, that makes a big difference.
Are you looking at doing this during bike month?
I think that would be great to do
great
during Bike
idea.
Month.
People are pretty,
Well, we can
Excited to get out in
publicize it
spring.
by month. And then
I
back
think
to
we
market.
could get it done by May.
Give us something to give back to market.
Yeah, and people could fill it out if you have mobile, if we had a, you know.
Attachments.
Mm-hmm, we could do that. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yay. Some of these questions are questions that they can use to get rolling with the PED plan too. Because I'm sure that's information they'd be happy to take a look at. Okay. All right, then the thing I added to the agenda was IDOT's safety study on university, and in the news there was some discussion about they're planning to do things, but it wasn't clear what and when and that kind of stuff. So I personally would like to know where they are and what their plans for implementation of the safety improvements are, and what we could do to help make that happen faster, because I'm assuming that all of the improvements are on them since it's their road.
That's correct.
So it's all their funding.
That's right.
However, I also know from watching public pressure that some things for which there is no funding whatsoever, like improving overpass on Kirby, suddenly get more attention when people make a big stink. So squeaky wheel gets the grease. Do we need to do something, like talk to somebody about how to get more get the funding to happen more quickly in terms of its priority on the list of things that they're going to do?
Mm-hmm. Well, first off, it is a priority for the department.
Okay.
Engineering staff has been in, we have talked with the Department of Transportation representatives. They have HSIP, which is Highway Safety Improvement Program funds, allocated for this project.
Oh, good.
And even though it's not been out there publicly yet, they're behind the scenes working. And these type of, right now they're in the phase one, what we call phase one study part of it, and that's the preliminary part. And then it moves upon approval, which we'll talk about in a minute, to phase two, which is plans and specifications, those type of detailed design. Then it goes to phase three, which is implementation. Okay.
And we
So
had
right-
asked for public input along the way,
Yes,
which
right. So right now what they've done is they've identified what they think needs to be improved throughout the corridor,
okay.
at least initially. Okay. And that was based upon the road safety audit that was
Right.
performed by a committee that wasn't really engineering people. It was people like police and other representatives that walk the corridor, and they jot down what they see. And they saw quite a few things that needed improved. So right now I can tell you what I've seen so far, which hasn't been released publicly, is that they're looking at modernization of all the traffic signals throughout the project. And that would include basically ADA compliant push buttons. It would include different signal faces than what are there now. They're looking at flashing yellow arrows, which are proven to be that would be a new concept within Urbana, but not only Urbana, within this district.
Yeah, they have them in Chicago.
They have them in Peoria right now,
Yeah,
but they don't have
they
any.
do.
This would be the first application within the District 5, which is several counties in this area. What a flashing yellow arrow is, basically, instead of having green permissive to turn left, it actually comes up and it flashes at you yellow, and it's more intuitive to you that, hey, caution, you should watch and turn left.
Watch out,
I have seen at Broadway and University, they're looking at crosswalks at all four
Good.
legs there. Staff has commented on some of the things there that we think we
And it raised too.
Yeah. And it raised too.
Needs it.
They're looking at 8-foot wide sidewalk anywhere that they can get it.
Good.
They're actually looking at acquiring property if they have to
Wow.
do that. In some areas, though, there's tight building space,
Yeah.
so they would do
There
a
really is.
5-foot walk at that location.
Okay.
Would the 8-foot walk mean then bikes could move on that?
So it's an 8-foot sidewalk, which would not be considered a multi-use path, but because it's an 8-foot walk, it's wide enough that bicyclists can use.
They're allowed.
Yes.
The only place they're not allowed in Urbana is downtown
Yeah.
on the sidewalk. Yeah, in the University District.
I just always get so freaked when I see cyclists on University Avenue. You know, I'll see people come out of like downtown Champaign and then they'll just, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know
very
what I mean
frightening,
to.
yeah.
Right.
But right now, everything that they've developed is in the preliminary stages. But then the next plan is to take it up a level, and then they'll be spreading that information out to the public, and there will be times
Okay.
to comment. Staff has stressed to them that it's important to get public comment. They do understand that, and the department is, I'm seeing personally changes in how the department has been
Oh, yeah.
moving.
It has.
A lot of it's a credit to, the Randy Blankenhorn.
Randy.
Yes, yeah,
And the staff you've brought on.
Yeah.
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 So I'm seeing some positive signs. I actually it would also include resurfacing the whole project and new striping with being recessed striping. They do that nowadays.
Lasts longer.
Lasts longer.
Good. Okay.
I've seen enough that I will tell you, I came away actually more impressed than I typically would be. A lot of times there's a lot of talk and less show. They actually are doing quite a bit more
Good.
than I thought. Now, at the same time, with regard to the pedestrian fatalities, there have been quite a few.
Yes.
I don't know the particular about this accident that just happened a couple days ago. We requested information and we'll be getting some.
They said it was at,
Kohler and
Kohler,
University,
yeah.
which is right by Carl there.
yep.
Yeah.
Second one was-
Yeah, I mean, it seems like these things, there's a myriad of reasons why these things happen, but I can tell you that the department they're actually taking a proactive approach into.
And the
resolving.
lighting, we talked about the lighting, particularly example.
And that's another thing.
At Race, where the crosswalk is, that it's really hard to see people.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because actually they're looking at new lights staggered all the way through the corridor, which right now they're on one side of the road. There are also sections where it's dark,
Yeah.
and that'll help
Yeah.
throughout the corridor, and it'll be all LED lighting throughout, full cutoff. So
Well, I
we
think
don't
the
have the dark
pedestrian-
sky issue or anything
Yeah,
like that.
absolutely. Well, that's important, yeah.
Craig, just out of curiosity, has any parts of university, I know the original study wasn't really studying parts of university that are in Champaign, but
Because that belongs to the city of Champaign.
Right.
yeah,
It's not the state.
okay.
Yeah,
So
so
the
the
city
limits
has to
are
do
Wright
it.
Street, which is where Champaign and Urbana, the dividing line
Yep.
is there. And actually, the state highway then turns south and goes down Wright.
Yeah.
And, but it goes east past Cunningham 1 block to Maple, which is where the car washes are right there. That's the geographical boundaries of the study. What the result of that was actually, Bill Gray, my public works director, there was these fatalities. He requested a road safety audit
Yeah.
performed, and then that triggered all of these
Yeah.
activities. As far as Champaign, because it's not a state route.
Yeah.
They're not
I
looking
don't
down there.
recall fatalities in Champaign.
There have been some, but not as many. Although with the increase in the pedestrian traffic, it's going to happen.
There's
It's going
huge
to happen.
housing centers that
Yep.
have been built along
Right.
the university
Yep.
and businesses that are now facing, I mean, the university has traditionally built their buildings so they face away from university. And now we've got businesses on the other side of university that are facing university. And we have a lot of students who are crossing university on a daily basis.
And
to
I
go
now
back
see
and forth.
people standing in the center turn lane to cross.
It is a very large concern,
Right.
very large concern.
We've asked them about the
It's
campus.
downright bizarre, in fact.
It's a de facto 30, it's not actually signed in Champaign. They have done a speed study throughout the corridor, and there's been some discussions of possibly
What the
lowering the
speed
speed
limit
limit,
should
but the issue with lowering it is that, again, as we talk, it's an environment where it's,
The design says go
Size
fast.
design.
right, Right.
Yeah.
I did reach out to City Champaign Engineering and ask them what they're seeing on their side, but they didn't indicate that there was one way or another a speed issue or not over there.
And would it make any difference if instead of having, because intersections are your most dangerous place. It's where cars, bikes, people end up in accidents, which is why people put in roundabouts. So that's my question. Is there any discussion, is that a useful thing in that whole corridor? So instead of having, street lights and blinky yellows and all that stuff, like just put in like roundabouts down the whole corridor?
I will have to ask them. I will tell you at this point, I think that's beyond the scope
That's
of the
what I
project.
figured.
It's really expensive is the
Yeah.
problem.
The issue with the roundabouts,
Yeah.
quite frankly, on a multi-lane road,
Yeah.
is just the fact of space.
Okay.
And then that means acquiring property,
Yeah.
whereas now
Yeah.
with signals, you're not acquiring property.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you
Well, that's
acquire
interesting.
property, that takes it to another level
Yeah.
for those things.
Mm-hmm.
But moreover, there's buildings. If you took as an example, University and Race, which is
They're
by
very
Windy
close.
City, you would actually have to acquire and demo buildings
Yeah.
to get it in. A multi-lane roundabout is a big roundabout.
And they're more complicated, and
That's not what we want to start.
we do not want to start with that because you really have to hire people who know what the heck they're doing, because if they're not designed right, they don't work.
And
Whereas
people
single lane
already don't think they're gonna
roundabouts work well.
Yeah, they do.
And
Yeah.
multi-lane do too if they're done properly, but they're more
Yeah.
complicated.
Right. Yeah, no, I was thinking of a single lane roundabout. I was
And we're
thinking
not
of
gonna get a
multi-
single lane.
The volume is really, surprisingly on University, it's
Yeah, I'm
really
curious.
high.
It's
Yeah,
high.
I'm
That's,
curious what it is.
there's a balancing act here too.
Right.
And we talked about it as staff. You don't
Yep.
necessarily want to divert cars off of there
Right.
No.
I agree with you.
because,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
there-
that's
there's,
Going down White.
there's 20,000 ADT. It's almost, it's really interstate level of volume throughout that corridor. But then you have the conflict, like you mentioned, of Campus Circle, and we've asked that particular question. And about, could there be other crossings that would help students get across? Right now, it's looking like no. The answer is no, because
There's
of the
a-
density of driveways that are there, and they're
Yeah.
actually,
But there's a Dairy Queen, there's a Taco
Yeah,
Bell, there's
right.
all these businesses that are right across the street from Campus Circle.
right?
I mean, we saw it during Campus Circle's construction.
Yep.
The construction workers
Yep.
were, it was kind of frightening as a car driver.
You are
Right.
not gonna stop people from doing that, because the truth of the matter is that it's
It's
simpler
such a
to
long
cross
block.
mid-block than it is at the
Yes.
intersection, because you don't have as many turning vehicles.
Right.
And so people are
Mid-block
not gonna
crossings.
stop doing it. It is frightening for a
Absolutely,
driver
and
though.
mid-block crossings should be explored for these really large super blocks on University with
I agree
super
with you.
speeds and
And
super
I
they
agree
are,
with you.
beautiful.
and they are doing that, and
Yeah.
we've asked those very same questions.
Yeah.
Because we have our concerns. I don't know what the history is with Champaign has latitude, and there's a lot there too. There.
Oh,
That's where the problem's gonna be. I think Urbana is less of a problem, but where the new apartment complexes are on Champaign, we're gonna have a big problem with people crossing.
Hammerhead Coffee,
Yeah.
all these businesses
Yep.
that are going up. This buildings are right up against the sidewalk.
Yep.
It's frightening, frankly, to see Beckman is just on the other side, and then just a little ways down we have, very, very populated parts of campus right next to very, very populated now apartment buildings.
Yep.
We didn't traditionally have a lot of students living on the other side of University. Now we do. And now we're seeing them walking to class, which is fabulous, but it's also
We've got a highway,
gut-wrenching.
we've got a highway designed road that they're crossing.
Yeah.
And that does not fix well.
And
Yep.
we're just concerned that this
Right.
this
We
is
can make it a
a
zip line so they can go down.
yeah, exactly. That seems almost more feasible right now. That's terrifying. Yes.
Well, thanks
There
for,
was- there's an
thanks for
RSL
the
for that.
update.
I'm
As
sure
soon
they'd be into
as soon
it.
as we have any kind of schedule, let us know, because I feel like
Yeah, I'll be curious because I'm just going.
we have a responsibility here.
And I'm just
Yeah.
curious, like, what the future plans are for University Avenue. Is like, do we want to like where is the economic growth going to happen on that street? Like, is it just a sewer, a car sewer, or are we going to economically develop it? Are we going to say this is a space for people, and we want people to populate the space, and we want businesses to populate the space, and we want people to live here, and we want people to move through the space? You know, we might have 20,000 cars, but maybe we have 20,000 people. I don't know. Obviously that's not a good thing to say either or, but it just seems like, what are we, what is our future vision for that's, for
There
that
is a
area?
corridor plan.
Yeah.
That is
Needs to be
actually
updated.
beyond the scope of this.
Yeah.
So I will tell you, they will look only just at the
The
corridor.
road.
They're not looking
Yeah.
at the land use adjacent to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really more of a planning effort.
And that was done.
Right. But they're looking at that there have been some issues, what needs to be done to rectify those issues.
Yes.
Well, I
Yes.
hope they're not just looking at history, because there's a terrible projection in terms of the high-density housing that's there now. That wasn't there before.
Right.
So you can't just extrapolate.
Well, I guess when they do extrapolate on what's happened right now, the hard part in the future is, again, planning. They don't have any control over what
The land use.
the land use.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who foresaw high density,
Right.
European style density.
It
On the
was,
other
it was
side of
zoned,
university.
it was zoned that way, and those were coming when we were
There's nothing
working
wrong
on
with
the
this.
corridor
This
It's
plan.
really, really
Yeah,
good.
This is
it's
good
good
stuff.
except
It's
it's not on
great.
top of a American highway.
It's that
It's
it's
a
very
good-
hard to put population centers and business centers right next to a road that is configured the way it is.
Yeah,
And
so,
so-
I mean, it will change, over time, the more the population increases,
We-
the more people walk around and bike around and.
I will say at the university level,
Mhm.
we get a lot of complaints with people crossing that street. We get a lot of complaints that the cameras don't work and pick up cyclists. We get a lot of complaints about that street as a whole, and it almost kind of seems like there is
I've
a
been
certain
watching-
amount of
Cars just go to get on right to get across because it just, the light doesn't.
doesn't pick
or,
up. Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
that's cars.
And for cyclists, it's even more infuriating.
Well, they're gonna
Um,
upgrade the signals from the sounds
Yeah,
of it,
no,
so
I was really
that's.
glad to hear that
Yeah,
because
Now, there isn't any plans though for bike lanes on University. I
Of
can tell
course
you that.
not.
Okay, so
I know.
that's-
which
just to
That's
get
gonna
that out
happen.
So there has been that very interesting, speaking of not roundabouts, but a multi-lane road at Texas A&M where they turned it into a Dutch junction, where there's kind of
That's what I
a
was
circular motion of traffic, and I
Yeah.
think
That's
that's
what I was
not-
thinking.
it's not completely outlandish for.
No, but they had
multi-lane.
lots of space.
They had, so the university has a lot of space. It's huge.
Not the amount of space that they had to create
Oh, yeah.
that intersection, yeah, and those are great.
Yeah.
But we don't have space there unless, there is some property the university has it right, but
I just always feel like if you're touching a road, you gotta realize, like, this is the last time it's gonna be touched in 50 years.
no,
So you
it's
gotta be
gonna
like
happen.
building for.
No, it's
but you-
gonna change again
Yeah,
because the land use is changing significantly.
that's just always my.
We did the
Build for
corridor
the future,
plan
don't build
6
for
years
what's
ago,
happening.
Yeah.
and we knew then that this was gonna happen. But the problem was the grant that we got to do the corridor plan happened so far out that by the time we got to it, it wasn't within the scope to do what we needed to do. And there hasn't been additional funding. It would be something that would be good to update, but we haven't had the funding to do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, that's good news.
Thank you.
Announcements.
what's happening?
Well, we know we've got announcements about Bike Month. Charlie, you want to start?
Yeah, I've got a calendar from.
All right. I can pull it up too.
I'll let you know, Imbibe Urbana is gonna put on their First Friday map, the First Friday map that we put out, we're gonna put the Bike Month. We'll have a whole Bike Month section on there for.
Oh, awesome.
May, yeah.
It's
So
a bike,
just-
yeah, Bike to Work
Yeah.
Day is May 2nd. Then there'll be some kind
Yeah.
of bike event as part of the Friday. We do something on Friday the 5th.
What do you say?
I'm sorry, will you do some
First Friday.
Well, it's the first Friday, we can, sure. What do you want?
Like 2 and
bike
5.
ride then?
I just agreed with you, sorry, I never know when a First Friday
Okay.
is. All right,
The
First
four-
Friday. I mean, I do, I'm not being a jerk when I say that, I really do mean.
Yeah, if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Okay,
Should-
so yeah, that would be fun to do some sort of First Friday
There are
thing.
4 Saturdays, there'll be the Bike to Market stuff. On the second Saturday, there's a wild card race at Crystal Lake Park. On the 20th, there are a bunch of things. You've got the
Yep.
market,
Let's do it Bike to Work.
playing it
See you, food
safe,
crews. I see what you're saying.
which is going to be, where is it going to be this year?
Leonard Center.
Leonard Center.
That's where
Yeah,
Shalom
since- oh,
Pool
yeah.
is. Shalom, whatever it is.
Shalom Pool,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Or by Centennial High School then.
Yes.
And then there's going to be a new ride that CD is leading. Oh, sorry. My nervous energy. CD is leading, or is putting together, and Marcus Rickey is putting together. It'll be from the market at 9 a.m. in the morning, and copied Sue on it.
Oh, yeah,
So,
that's like health.
Right, it's
Yeah.
Life is a Cycle, I think. is
Yeah,
what
it's
it
a
is.
nationwide thing.
Yeah, and it's focused on beginning
Yeah.
cyclists,
Entry.
which is great because that's
Cool.
what I
Yeah.
always want to focus on.
And then
You can't.
are
You're too
you-
advanced.
No, I meant like
Usual
health.
May is, May Saturday ride is abbreviated.
Right, the PCC Saturday rides, the Saturday Saunter, as it's
Yeah,
still called,
yeah.
that ends up at the market. Those 4 Saturdays. And then we have a new PCC ride in the afternoon, which will be the CU Food Cruise.
That's the
with-
20th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
missed the
they'll-
It's gonna be
meeting
a
for the
busy day
routes.
too. Very
So,
busy day.
I was supposed to show up for the meeting
Yeah.
for the routes, and I was leaving town, I didn't make it, but
We've got some good routes. They're a little long. We'll try to get the barbecue places are sort of scattered all over town, so we'll see
good.
how it goes. The TS 101 class is scheduled for the 4th Saturday, the
27th. We've
Yeah.
got Bike to Worship on the 21st.
Yeah, okay, then, I was gonna say, then we got just picking out the other days here. We're gonna do some bike from work days on the Tuesdays again, like we did last year. We have 5 of those this year.
Oh, sweet.
Nice.
So bike to work Tuesdays. Then we have the bike to school day
And bike
on
from
the
work.
10th.
Right, from
Yes.
work, right.
Bike from work days, yes, yeah. And then we have bike to school day
Got a
on the
bike to
10th.
work.
The 10th, we also have the Meadowbrook sort of neighborhood celebration, which will have bands and
Bike ride.
bands and other stuff beforehand, and then CCB and others will lead a ride to the city dairy barn.
And there's gonna be a bike ride for kids around Meadowbrook Park.
And what day is that?
The
Tuesday.
Wednesday the 10th.
I want to just mention about CU Bike to Work. I am Bike to Work Month and Bike Month. I was at the National Bike Summit, and there were several people at the League of American Bicyclists staff members who were saying, "What are you guys doing this month for May?" Like they love to see that we're one of those active communities in the country for Bike Month. Lay it on thick.
Well, really, yeah, think
Tell
about.
them we're taking
I
this
like,
year.
I like the, I mean, if May 5 is, you could do a Bike to Work First Friday celebration, or we will have
On the 5th?
Or bike from work?
Well, just think about it, if it's the first Friday, First Fridays go from
That
4
would
to
be great.
11.
Yeah.
There's, I think the street will probably be shut down from 6 to 10, if it goes well in April. So if there's something,
I think that would be great.
I'm just trying to think what would, we could, I don't know how, I'm just putting it out there.
I think that might be a good time to invite the bike shops to come and invite people to bring their bikes for a free
Could you
checkup
do a slow ride?
and a slow
Or
ride.
even,
Because that's right at the beginning of bike month, and people's bikes often need to be
or an
spruced up.
an accessorization or a, like, figure out your.
I will tell you, Wichita, Kansas does an amazing bike fashion show.
That's
And it's a huge fundraiser for them, and it's a very big deal. It's all women, and they show off bike gear, and
Probably better than a naked bike ride, but.
yeah, I don't want to be involved with a naked bike ride. Thank you very much.
Well, it could be like Bohemia.
It's not bad.
Do like a
I've been doing it
Bohemia.
several times. It's not bad.
Yeah, anything like that.
After a while,
that would be fun.
Back to people.
That would be a lot.
I'm just trying to think of some way we could like do, because it could slow, like you could ride, I don't know. Okay, well, let's just put that out there. There's no rush. We just gotta survive April's First Friday, and we can.
Okay, so the Sunday the 14th, there's a women's ride listed
That's
here.
Mother's Day.
Mother's Day ride, okay. 21st is a bike to worship, and then bike the drive is on the 28th. So.
That's the
And
one
I
in
have a
Chicago.
couple of
Yes.
non-bike month. I have a couple of non-bike month announcements.
And then there's a Ride of Silence is on the 17th. And then we're trying to do an
yes.
Urbana Love type thing, bike related on the 26th, Friday the 26th. So that's what's on the calendar so far.
And we'll have a lunar cycle ride too. We haven't said
That's it?
that.
And I'll make
Yeah.
That's it?
We need to do
Yeah,
that.
come on. Hey,
Yeah.
look, Active Transit Chicago has a solid week of stuff planned.
Yeah, they
It's
do.
really impressive. So.
Okay.
Well, I'm also,
They-
I'm also,
they get air
you know, I'm
quality
offering
money.
to put this on the first Friday map. I mean, we could put some things, we can't put all these things, but
Sure.
you are telling me a lot of things. And I am wondering if there is a way to put that together in a more, like, I mean, we could include it with the map somehow, or, you know, just figure out, because there's a lot here. I just kind of, I'm just thinking, you know, we might want to try to get it on there in a different way, or have just another piece of paper or something. Anyway, just putting that out there.
Yeah, well, this map will go live on, I think from somewhere.
The calendar's already on
It's
there.
already on there. Okay,
Yes,
already live.
it's
Okay.
all on there.
Okay.
Yeah, my intern had been working on it, and it looks like it's all there. We've got the Earn the Bike program listed as our fundraiser. I'm hoping that the link for donating is working.
Well done.
What was
It's
that?
there. I haven't tried using
It's
it,
the
but.
CU Bike Money.
Yeah.
Weebly.com.
And I've been talking to the Don Moyer Boys and Girls
see you
Club.
like
They were
one.
interested. I need to follow up with them again in doing class. So.
By the way, I can point
University
Leslie to
made
that.
a cute
So she can-
video. It's right now in editing for Bike Month.
Oh, good.
Oh, cool.
It's about bike commuting to campus, and we're trying to teach people about
Cool.
how to do it with a lecture style light board
Cool.
lecture.
Interestingly,
Oh,
I have a,
cool.
I have a,
I thought it was fun.
I have a son at the university who's involved with cycling. And he said that he's become convinced that one of the reasons we don't have more students involved in the cycle club is because they have no place to keep their nice bikes.
Oh, that's been
Yeah,
true forever.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Me and-
that-
Me and
everybody
Aaron
knows.
have been discussing this.
Oh, good.
Yes, absolutely.
Would Aaron be her son?
Aaron is actually the outreach coordinator for one of our RSOs, Illini Cycling, and
Yeah.
he's also going to be working with me on another lightboard video too as well on
Oh, good.
lane positioning.
Yay.
Something he's really super
Oh,
excited
so he
to talk
knows about that. Good.
Yeah.
Maybe you can get him to wear a helmet.
I'll work on
Helmet-
things.
Helmets are good.
In April,
Helmets are great.
I just know, I
Helmets
can
are
tell
great.
you.
It's
in,
a tough sell on campus, but helmets are great. For sure.
In April, there will be a lunar cycle ride, April 11th, 6 to 8 p.m. We have had to cancel numerous lunar
We need
cycle
to get
rides.
Sue involved with this because the weather goddess has been
Right, it
beating the
doesn't-
stuffings out of
You've
us.
always, but see, you've always planned them when I'm otherwise committed.
No, yeah. Then
And
we
this
planned
is-
one on a Saturday purposely, and the entire month was super warm. And that Saturday it was
Like
like
awful.
ice
Horrible.
pellets. Yeah, we were like, really? I was just
We
like,
really had terrible
I mean,
luck.
the first time I was really hesitant to cancel. The second time I was slightly. Third time I was like, oh, forget it. This is just there's nothing we can do about this.
So what
Yeah.
day is it?
We have,
April 11th.
What day?
yeah.
It's a Tuesday.
We need to put it on
which
this
I don't think you can
calendar.
do.
Oh,
And then one other.
yeah, it's probably fine.
Yeah, and then one other thing, Saturday, April 29th, we, in Bi Urbana is trying to get together a triathlon. It will be a triathlon, a TRY athlon.
Yeah, but when you say that, that's misleading. It's a eating and drinking athlon.
Right, right.
That I can do.
But it will be a ticketed event. We will have we'll max out at 150 people. There will be 3 waves of 50. You'll start at neutral cycle. You'll bike to Urbana Boulders and Boulder for a little bit, and then you'll bike over to Amara, and then you'll do some yoga, and then you'll bike over to Riggs Brewery.
That I can do.
Cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be really fun. Oh, and at Riggs you're gonna throw a keg.
Right? And that's where you'll end, right?
Right? Yeah, yeah. And then at Riggs
bouldering.
there's gonna be a keg talk.
This should be a part of your wellness
Okay.
campaign.
We're trying to gather all the bits
Oh,
and
dear.
pieces that we would need to pull this off. And we talked to the park district today, and the person we talked to there was very concerned about having 50 cyclists at a time coming through. But I said we just need to sit down and talk with them. I'm assuming they. I think they.
where?
We're going to go through Crystal. We're going to go from neutral cycle and then through. It's an open course. We're not closing any streets. There'll be leads in front and back, but it'll go through Crystal Lake. We want to send people through Crystal Lake Park, and we'd like to do Meadowbrook. I could see why Meadowbrook would be, we're trying to show people how they can ride a bike
Right.
to all these places.
Right.
We're trying to show people that it's easy to get around, and this is not a race by any stretch of the imagination. This is just like,
So it's a tour.
yeah, it kind of is a tour, but we're trying,
Parade.
it is, and so we're trying, and that was like one reason why we want them to go through Crystal Lake and not just go from Neutral Cycle to the shortest route possible. We're
We've
like,
taken groups of cyclists through there.
yeah,
At
so
night, we got a permit to do it.
yeah, so I think we're just going to have to talk and explain that we're not sending 500 people through there at once. It's not going to be
And
crazy.
Sue has a ride that
Yeah.
goes to Meadowbrook from.
It starts at Meadowbrook.
Well,
Yeah.
it ends at Meadowbrook, the family ride that we did for BCC.
Right, yeah.
And that goes down, and that would be easy to
Yeah, I can tell you
include
our route.
Crystal Lake, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, because we have a, I mean, the only part of the route that we're so far a little concerned with, and it's actually only 12, we're working with a Neutral Cycle, and Tim was like, that's like 30 miles. I go, that's not 30 miles. It's gonna be like 12, 13. But it will take a while. I mean, the route, we are gonna stage people. It is gonna be almost like a 3-hour event, but it will be.
But it's the whole circle would be, or
Right,
the whole thing would be.
The whole thing is, yeah. So the only issue we have is getting to Urbana Boulders. There's sort of some little stretchy.
That's more difficult.
There's a little
yeah.
bit
Where is that?
Penningham.
in my head. I'm like, it's over here.
And you go
It is.
across,
So,
you
that's-
go up Broadway.
Yeah.
You come out of Crystal Lake.
Yeah.
Use that
you go up
signal.
You go north on Broadway, you take Kerr,
Yeah.
across the street.
And I was thinking of, I mean,
Not Perkins.
we could talk around. I mean, yeah,
Perkins.
we could talk around another time. But I mean, I was thinking of kind of sending actually people back through Crystal Lake Park. So you would see the other cyclists coming through, and it'd be like, yay! But also just so people would not be so disoriented. Like they'd
Yeah.
be like, oh, I can actually do this. It's like, yes, you can
Yeah.
do this again
Right.
on
Yeah.
your own.
Not, I was in this thing and I have no idea where we went.
Right, yeah, I don't want people to just feel like yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, so
That's
that, just
cool.
letting you know that's coming up. We're trying, there's a lot of bits and pieces to it. We've got
And tell me
a
the
ton of
date
people on
again.
board. It's April 29th, Saturday, April 29th.
Oh, we have a bike class that morning, but you said
Yeah.
you were doing it in the afternoon.
Yep.
It's
It'll
Boneyard
start-
Creek cleanup day too.
Is it? Oh, is it?
What is?
Oh, okay.
Boneyard Creek cleanup.
cleanup day.
Oh, cool.
April 29th.
Say
Awesome.
it again.
Boneyard Creek.
Cleanup.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
It's Earth Day.
It's Earth Day. Is it really Earth Day?
No, Earth Day's the week before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 22nd.
Kind of cool. Pulled that
This is
up.
29th.
It was more like when could we get all these businesses because we also didn't want to send people to the businesses during their busy peak hours. We wanted to send them when they were not as busy. So
Mhm. And afternoon makes really good
yeah,
sense.
like a Saturday afternoon later in the evening. And then what's nice about Riggs is people can meet people there, and you can just drink beer and you can hang out and watch people. Like it's
That's big space.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's a nice way to end it, and then we'll have Riggs will have hopefully one else. Anyway, so I think it's going to be really fun. It's just more like we have to just kind of we'll have to get the park district to explain that we're
Who did you talk to?
Kelsey. Is that the right person?
Yeah.
I think we just need to talk to her.
Yeah.
I think it was more that she probably was like, "You people are nuts." This
Well,
is
she
insane."
gets it like a lot of off the wall.
That's what I figured. Yeah, that's what I told Kristen. I was like, Kristen, I get it. Kristen, of course, is like, you'll have 150 cars going through your park. Why would you? I was like, Kristen, that's
Yeah,
not.
don't get lazy.
That's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Oh boy. I was like, don't worry. I was like, I'm so used to it with bikes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's it. Oh, and then also, this is totally off topic, is have we talked about tracking 911 calls for getting accident reports?
Well,
You
that's.
do that at the university.
Do you?
Because I was thinking,
Well-
like, that's how you could say, like, anyway, so it was just an idea, it was just a way to, that's all.
We
That's
tried
off
to
topic.
get that data, the hospital gave it to us for a while, but because we have such a small number of pedestrians and cyclists hit, they decided they couldn't give it to us anymore because of privacy laws, because you could easily identify who it
Oh,
was.
okay. All right.
But that is a problem. We know we don't get all of this
The data.
reported, and it would be very helpful to have more information. We just haven't figured out a way around the privacy issue.
Okay.
We did get it for a short time, and then they got, their legal people, I guess, said no.
Okay.
All right, I have a couple events.
Yes.
Okay, so I just have two more events that are not Bike Month that I'd really like to mention. First one is April 8th. It's Mom's Weekend at the university, and really, really fabulous RSO that promotes cycling advocacy on campus and in the community, and they do a lot of really great things. Bike Face, they're hosting a very, like, maybe $2 or $3 entry, very affordable tandem bike obstacle course. They shut down the street Peabody from 4th to 6th Street, and it's going to be tandem rides for parents and students, or just people who want to ride tandems and do an obstacle course
Would
together.
they do that on a first Friday, say, during Bike to Work Month?
No, it.
Got it. Go on.
It's Saturday, April 8th, Mom's Weekend. And please come to it. I've made them buy really expensive insurance for it, so they have to recover some kind of money from it. There will be several refurbished tandem bicycles from our campus bike center. It should be a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
There's going to be a Chancellor bike ride April 19th. And so our brand new Chancellor, Robert Jones, will be riding a bicycle for the first time to my knowledge on campus, with being led by this bike face group.
Did you say the 19th
The 19th
of April?
of April.
Which is a Wednesday.
It is a Wednesday.
Okay.
Yep. And it's 9 a.m. And that is Earth Week also on campus, so I think there's also going to be more bike events later that day. But this Chancellor ride should be a lot of fun, and Bike Face has chosen a route that shows off a lot of bicycle infrastructure problems and also like opportunities.
Have you given,
They're a very passionate
have you
group.
given
Very
the
passionate.
chancellor a bike map?
I don't think so, but I do know the Chancellor's office hands them out, and so they should be in
We
the
can give 'em
office. I don't. Thank you. As if I don't have a couple. Thank you very much.
We can get back.
No. Yeah, right. It's gonna be the last one for a while.
I carry it with me. I got more. If you want more, I can give you more.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
Oh my
can.
goodness.
I mean, I've given a bunch out, but I still have some.
I know that the U of I Police Department is actually running low. So.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
guys, you guys have 15,000 maps.
10,000, right? But a lot of them were given out. Like, we have also 45,000 students, so it was a
You've gone
problem.
through 50, no, you guys got 15,000 maps.
15? We got 15.
15,000.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
5,000 maps somewhere.
And we had a lot of new hires this year.
Did you-
A lot of HR people were like, like maps. You know,
Well, they got out
we're
then.
we're
That's
transitioning
good.
to much more online friendly HR hiring practices, and we're also doing more things like interactive bus rides and stuff like that for things. But previously there was a lot of paper involved, and I'm sure that some of those paper objects that were handed to our new students and staff were bike maps because they're awesome.
So do you have more announcements?
Nope, that's it. Chancellor bike ride. It's loads of
Okay.
fun.
Well,
I guess check with Rhonda.
He could be watching.
Rhonda Kurtz, yeah. Rhonda, I know, is out.
except we're not live.
Is out. She
So-
hands them out in the first month.
Also,
she
I
gets
don't
them
think our
all
videos
out.
are actually online either.
They should be.
Ours are.
She has this
Yeah.
much storage space.
You
So.
can get them.
My bad.
Send us a link.
Yeah.
I was trying to find something the
You
other day.
can
and I was
call,
like,
you can call
obviously it wasn't that.
Northeastern.
Scott
Oh,
at Premier Printing and
yeah.
ask him what it costs to run another.
We have some too.
I'll ask. Maybe in the summer.
What, the co-op, the bike project has Light the Bike coming up on April
Oh, how did I
2nd.
forget that?
Yeah, and so they're doing a bike light
It's
distribution
Sunday.
that Sunday for anybody who would like to volunteer. We have a bike class offered through the Park District. We haven't done this before. And so we need people to help us publicize that. It's a 3-part class, April 25th, 27th, and 29th. And I should get maybe some other social media mavens to help send that out now that we're getting closer to that date. What else do I have here? I think that's it, because I think Charlie covered all of the other stuff going on. Yep. Any other announcements?
Yeah, I have one slightly different one, but it still involves helping the earth and our next generation of children. The Nature Playscape will open on Earth Day, the 22nd,
Ooh.
at the north end of Crystal Lake Park. So everything is just made out of wood and stones and things like
Oh,
that.
cool.
And so everybody's welcome to attend, and of course,
Yay.
it'll help kids kind of learn, dig in, take
Oh, that'd
risks.
be nice. Thanks.
That's awesome.
Any other announcements? Okay. Future topics. I think we sort of have future topics lined out here for next for next month. think we're gonna, what are you planning on putting on the agenda at this point for next month?
I haven't got through this meeting yet, so. There were a couple things, we've got some lists there that we can go back through and then we can send out a draft
Okay.
and do that. But,
All right, okay.
I can't think of anything right off the top of my head.
Well, what about the Dennis Roberts was going to do that presentation?
Yeah, I was
Well,
super
actually,
excited
what-
about that.
What, I can give a little bit update. Actually, he went to the Kuwats and spoke with them. And then he went on ahead and spoke to the committee of the whole and developed a resolution, and then the committee forwarded it to the council, and council passed it for support. So
Oh, great.
they have support for that.
And can I ask, where the 25 o'clock brewery is coming in, is that where it would start?
Well, yes, that would be the kind of yeah.
Is there like a number for what it would cost for just the easements between?
No, that would be, it's just, right now, it's just a resolution of support. I mean, there's supposed to be a
okay.
study done and
Yeah,
costing and planning and, there's a lot
Yeah.
there.
Because I still can't.
A ton of
see
ideas
where
for the
it is in my
champagne
head,
side of
I keep
that
trying to figure it out.
If you kind of go zigzag through those streets, you'll see the boneyard through there, and that would be kind of,
It'd be so great.
it would be so cool.
It would just be, I'm so glad he's pursuing this. It's so good.
It's, as you probably have seen and noticed, it's very hard to get our university students to downtown Urbana, despite the very
Oh,
close
now I remember.
proximity.
There
So
was something I wanted to
just
talk
be
about. Speaking,
incredibly encouraging for getting our students to meander.
well, Project 5 for MCOR will help with that too, because we'll have bike lanes all the way.
This is-
Absolutely. A lot of our students think that Green Street, they're convinced that is the number one to go, and they get very discouraged very fast at how the road is currently configured. It's going to be help immensely.
yeah, and that was something we were looking into doing, and by Urbana was looking into doing a open streets event in the arts district, and we kind of decided one of our core rules is what do people want, what do people need, and we were like, this just isn't matching our values. Like, this isn't matching what we want. I'm just doing this so I can do it in some ways, and that's not helpful. So we did think something that people would be really interested in would be a celebration of the MCOR project, an open streets event that would celebrate the MCOR project. So it would be like a Sunday morning from like 11 to 2 or 11 to 3, and it would be where the MCOR project is, and you would just have the streets. And I don't know if that's even physically possible. I know shutting down streets is but
It'd be kind of hard during construction.
Right.
No, it'd be after construction.
After
oh, I
construction,
was
it's
thinking of it. I didn't
oh,
know.
like
Yeah.
one
I mean, I of
lane,
course
I don't
haven't
know.
seen what y'all have shut down so much, but I was just thinking more of a way to say this is
At the end, a
because Green
celebration.
Street isn't. I mean, that's not part of. That's
It
part
is
of,
in Champaign.
Yeah, but not in Urbana. It's like
That's for sure.
aspiration. You know,
Yeah.
it's still aspirational in Urbana. So.
Right, but
yeah.
well, I mean, they're installing a water main right now.
It's gonna happen,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Absolutely.
You can go out there
And I
and throw
tested
dirt in the trench.
Earlier this week, they were out there with the drone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it
All right.
crashed.
Well,
that was our one idea.
Before we adjourn though, it's been over 2 hours. Did we approve the meeting minutes?
Oh,
I can't recall if we did.
I don't think we did. We approved the
I don't think
agenda,
we
we did
did.
not approve the minutes.
Right,
I
okay.
had to check.
oh, we didn't.
No, we didn't.
We approved the
I got really
agenda.
excited
You're
about
absolutely
adding
right.
something to the agenda. Oops.
That's right. We
So I
added to
remember
the
thinking,
agenda.
I
Okay.
don't
Does
have to
anybody
care
have
if
any
it's there.
additional changes or comments? I had already provided mine for the meeting minutes. All right. So we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes. Who's gonna do
I
it?
move.
Okay. Seconds.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Great. Thank you
You like listen to
all.
all of us, and you're like.